Hello all of you out there in internet land. I wanted to do another video today and I wanted to kind of show some tips of a comment today on a video, a photo I posted on my Facebook. I had finished a tube top set for someone. They said, wow, you know, that's really awesome of you. You can sew on stretchy fabric. That's like the hardest fabric to stretch on, to work on. And I'm like, no, that's actually a misconception. It's as easy as working with cotton, with a few exceptions, but those exceptions don't really hinder your ability. It's just, you know, a couple extra things that you got to do in order for your stitches to look great. You don't get skip stitches, and you know, just a little knowledge on how to work with such fabric. Today I'm going to be covering stretchy fabrics such as lycra, PVC. This is a 4-way stretch type fabric, or like if you go to Joann's, like the dance wear, any of the Yayahan 4-way stretch type fabrics, those types of things. I'm going to talk about the specifics for that. Knits and other things like this have the same techniques that you would use, but the needle would be different. You would be using like a ballpoint needle. So for this video, I just want to go over a few things and then show you on the machine the difference that it makes, so that way you know the wrong way to do it and how it comes out versus the right way and how it should look. So just some things here. I have some leftover fabric from the project I was doing, which is like a 4-way stretch fabric. Also, when you're cutting this, super sharp scissors, or you know, your self-healing mat and your rotary cutter with like a straight edge, as you see here, that helps tremendously. Also, the main tools you should be using here are stretch needles. So you can see here, let me cover that light. Schmetz stretch needles, that's what you need. Not leather needles, not ballpoint needles, not Microtex needles, not universal needles, but stretch needles. And you're also going to need your walking foot, which is that little contraption right there. That's what it looks like. Let me get a little front. And you will see how it behaves in my tutorial right now, my demonstration of how it works. Okay, so let's go in my sewing room and let's do some examples real quick. Okay, so we're gonna do the first example on my newer Singer. It's about 10, 11 years old. So I have some stretchy fabric here. It's like a spandex, a metallic spandex. I'm going to fold it over because normally you're sewing 2 layers, right? When you're trying to like put something together. So I have this on a 4, which is kind of a big stitch. I'm going to sew for a little bit. This has a ballpoint needle, I believe, and the zigzag foot. So let me show you some examples here. Let me get it started. Okay, so it appears everything is sewing right, correct? It feels like it. You're like, oh yeah, this is great. Here's where the frustration lies with a lot of people. Here, let me put this on my grid. Hold on so you can see it. Can you see the errors in the stitching? It should be uniform. My stitches should look like this all the way down, but they don't. You see this has a big one here, little one, medium sized. You see how the stitches aren't even? That's what happens with a lot of people that sew stretchy fabrics and they don't have the right tools. So see, if I try and pull this, see those gaping holes? That's not good. Your costume's gonna probably rip apart if you do that. So let's go ahead and let me go to my other machine where I will have a walking foot and a stretchy needle. I'll show you the same sewing, you know, 2 layers, and then you will see the difference in how it sews. Okay, so here's the example, which I showed you a moment ago, well, at the beginning of the video, the needle type and what your walking foot looks like. So here I have my walking foot. I switched to my other machine because my white singer that I had that I showed you guys right now, I don't have a walking foot for that machine. I only have it for this one. So I'm just gonna fold 2 layers underneath and drag everything in front of me. And then I'm gonna do a series of straight stitches and some big ones, and you'll see the uniformity when you have a stretch needle with a walking foot, okay? Rule of thumb too, every 1 to 2 projects you should be throwing out your needle, because even with a stretch needle, if it starts getting dull, you will see skip stitches, but it still sews a heckle of a lot better than if you're trying to force sew your garment or whatever with a ballpoint needle or a universal needle. Do you see the uniformity here? How most all. Is that a skip stitch? Oh no, that's not a skip. It looks like one, but it's not. All of these are uniform. So that's the difference there. A few more tips. Here, let me turn this around. Let me talk to you. So just another thing I wanted to talk about besides stretch needles and stuff. There's also another type of needle called microtex needle. If you go to like the needle part of your sewing store, like Joann's or Hobby Lobby, there will be a much more variety of needles. There are specialized needles for if you're doing denim work. There's denim needles. There's the microtex needles, which I use like if I'm working with lame or some kind of really fine foily type fabric, or chiffon, lace. I use it when I'm using lace. Anything really fine. I also use it when I use silk, and then to go even further, it's better if you use silk thread when you're working with silk. It just works a heck of a lot better than if you're trying to do like all-purpose thread with silk. I just find that it's a little too thick, heavy duty for that type of fabric, and the silk fabric is a little more finer, but it's still strong, obviously, because silk is a very strong type of material. What else? There's leather needles, obviously, if you're doing leather work. I've tried sewing leather with heavy duty needles and I get skip stitches, and then the thing with leather is that once you puncture a hole in it, it doesn't heal itself. Like, it's not like if you make a hole and you can undo stuff with a seam ripper, like everything's fine. No, like the holes stay there. If you have a ton of holes in the same place, it can be like perforated, so like it'll easily rip, you know, like your checks in the checkbook are perforated and then you can easily rip out the checks. It becomes like that with leather too. So with leather, you definitely want to use a proper leather needle. Never try it with anything else, because then you're just wasting material, and I know how expensive leather can be. With that, ballpoint needles, use that with knit fabrics. Again, I do stress, try and change out your needle every 1 to 2 projects. Again, the duller the needle, it's not going to be going through your fabric as well. You're going to get skip stitches, you're going to get damage in your fabric, and it's just frustrating. Because the last thing you want to do is when you're sewing is get extremely frustrated and abandon your project because the damn machine won't sew your project right. It looks like crap. So keep all those things in mind. If you have any other questions about needles and stretchy fabric in general, I know because this was mainly a tutorial demonstration on stretchy fabrics. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me, okay? Thanks so much. Bye.